Welcome to a new episode of Opening Bid. I'm Yahoo Finance Executive Editor Brian Sozzi. Like I always say, this is the podcast that will make you a better investor and a better leader. I really want to lean into being a better leader here today with our next guest. It is Rebecca Minkoff, fashion designer, entrepreneur, leader, a little bit of everything.
A little bit of everything.
Yeah, I've been following your journey for some time. Congrats on this new book, Fearless, The New Rules for Unlocking Creativity, Courage, and Success. What made you write this now?
You know, I wrote the hardcover in 2021 after wear testing my rules during COVID, saying if I have to rebuild my business in the pandemic, let me see if this worked a second time after I started my company. And it was time to release it in paperback, make it more accessible. And we're celebrating our 20th anniversary as a brand.
Has it been 20 years?
It's been 20 years, so I figured this was perfect timing.
Have you, did you sell the company?
We sold the company 3 years ago, yes.
Was that tough to do?
It was tough only because, you know, it's my name, I'm connected to it, but I'm there every day. I'm a very happily paid employee, and I love the work, and I continue to be there no matter what.
So take us inside this book. What are some of the lessons that you've learned building your business?
I think the idea of risk-taking. I think so many people are averse to taking risks, and the fear that overcomes them, you know, in their gut stops them. And so the goal of this book isn't, you know, pulling your hair over your shoulder and saying, I'm fearless. It's really about, I'm scared, but here are some things I can hold on to just take the risk anyways.
What did you, as you were or have been building your business, did you make any mistakes along the way?
None.
None. No, it's all been easy, right?
It's been so easy. We'd be here all day. I mean, we made risks from early on from not having quality control and having the wrong designers, you know, brand inside my bag. So that was a humbling moment. We've made risks when it came to using tech early on, you know, having a live Twitter feed during my fashion show, not realizing that when you start trending on Twitter, as it was called back in the day, that maybe some inappropriate things are shown to 1,300 people. So you name it, we've made mistakes.
How did you overcome those?
You know, thank goodness for that one. That was my brother's idea, and I looked him in the eyes. I said, I'm so glad this is your idea, because if it was mine, you would never, you know, stop talking about it.
That's one thing I didn't realize your brother, I mean, he helped get this business off the ground, right? What is that relationship like? What was it like in the early days, I guess?
I mean, in the early days, it was phone a friend for a lot of help. You know, originally, you know, traditionally, capital was not what it is today. You know, you didn't just go out and raise money. And so we really bootstrapped due to his American Express. He mortgaged his house for the brand. His wife could not buy groceries, but she got some beautiful leather bags. And then when we were able to secure, you know, loans on purchase orders, you know, but he was the CEO for 17 years, so it was integral to the growth of the brand that he was there.
Before, I'm thinking back now to a couple months ago, we talked to the Property Brothers, and of course, they're brothers. They've launched this amazing brand,
yeah,
and it seems to flow with them. You know, they each have different strengths. Like, how did you manage working with your brother?
So it was critical that we get good at communication, and I write about it in the book. We didn't always see eye to eye. We didn't always get along. But we would kind of reset more than once a year and say, this is what I need and want from you, and this is what I need and want from you. And I think anyone who's working with their partner, whether it's a spouse, a friend, you know, a stranger, you have to do those resets. I advise once a quarter, because things change. You might have kids, or you want to travel more, or you start, you know, wanting to take the business in another direction. If you don't have those touch points, man, it can get wild.
I talked to, full disclosure, I talked to a lot of robotic AI CEOs, entrepreneurs that seemingly got born and thinking about developing businesses. Like, what do you see, I would say, the more average entrepreneur in terms of mistakes? Like, what are they making right now in this environment that, you know, folks that don't have access to billions of dollars in a huge Rolodex?
I think especially for women, most women are starting consumer businesses, and they're all going after VC and private equity money and not going after traditional forms of capital, whether it's a small business loan or, again, purchase order financing. You're going to grow slower, but it's okay. What is wrong with having a slower growing, healthy business that provides a lifestyle for you, your family, and your employees? And it's one thing that my co-founder and I at Female Founder Collective, we talk to women about this. It's okay to grow slow. What happened to Main Street USA, where there was just these beautiful businesses that, you know, provided a great lifestyle for the people that worked there?
Are female founders, I mean, there's countless stories written about this, and there's nothing new per se, but are they getting the capital they need?
No, they're not. The numbers have actually gone down. It's now 1.8% down from 2%.
It's effing awful.
It's disgusting, actually. There need to be more advocates in the room. There need to be more women, you know, investing and succeeding. And again, our mission at Female Founder Collective is to hopefully make the next level of women who are successful that can then invest in more founders.
Why is this still even an issue? Why is it a problem?
I think it's a problem because, again, a lot of women have consumer businesses. They should not be getting VC capital for them, so they're barking up the wrong tree sometimes. And the business has been largely built, not in a bad way, by male-dominated fields and sectors where it's more male-heavy. And I think on that level, men need to say, okay, we need to pull more managing directors in as women, or we need more investors in as women, or more funds need to come in as women, and then really taking a look at the strength of these businesses, because you'll find that the exits these women have are usually a lot bigger because we're so worried about failing and messing it up for everyone else that we're sort of like, okay, this has to succeed.
Are you a big work-life balance person, or are you maybe? I look at myself, it's just all become one big blob. Like there is no separation at all of any of this.
There is no such thing as balance.
Thank you.
It's never existed for men or women.
It just doesn't exist.
It does not exist. I try and call it work-life integration, or we can call it the blob, as you say. For me, it's sort of like taking a look at my week. Where do I know I'm going to be gone from my kids for a couple days? Where can I then over-index when I'm back? But to me, the village has been stripped of us. We used to have a village, and I'm sort of into rebuilding my village. Who are those people? My husband, my nanny, my mom, my dad. Like, who's helping create this thing where it's not always falling on me? And what can I shed? Do I do the dishes now? No, I don't. Someone does them. And that's real nice.
It's still kind of hard. It's nice. It's hard to do. How do you manage your time, especially as you were growing a business and you're still growing a business?
I'm very type A. Everything is scheduled within an inch of my life, and I'm a big analog list maker, and so I sort of have, this is the fires, this is the must do, this is the nice to do, this is when I'm bored and like daydreaming, and I sort of just manage my life of what's most important and what can I focus on today that moves me along to the next cycle.
To that end, I think we're a lot alike. I'm kind of getting that vibe. I just got the new Amazon Echo Show because Alexa Plus is coming out, and it's like Amazon's AI thing. And it just manages your whole life.
It does.
Just talk to you.
Maybe I need this in my life.
I have to let you. I'm telling. When this comes, it should be coming out in a couple weeks. Like this thing is pretty dope. But like let's go inside your brand. I remember when your bags came out. I remember when you made that famous T-shirt. I was a stock analyst covering, ironically, accessible luxury handbag makers at the time. So it was Coach before Tapestry. Like, what's hot right now?
What's hot right now in my space?
Yeah.
Right now, these micro trends that you see happening on TikTok, everyone has to have, the small bag that fits nothing. Cool. That lasts for a week. And then it's something else. And so I think, what's hot right now is everything, because trends are happening quicker and quicker and quicker. But for us, we're really about building a stable base and foundation of bags that are your everyday woman's bags. And then from there, we layer on these blips as fast as we can get them out. But we're not pinning our business on that.
Is TikTok a big driver of your business? I ask that because I talked to the Abercrombie & Fitch folks, and what they have seen in terms of how they've marketed on TikTok and the sales they're able to drive with the conversion off of that has been mind-blowing.
Well, we've just taken it seriously in the last 6 months, so it's something that I don't have numbers on yet, but we will be launching it soon in a very heavy way for TikTok shops.
How do you know when something's going to be a hit?
Oh man, sometimes you have that feeling and sometimes you don't. We had a bag become a hit recently. It's the Megan Hobo. And when I saw the bag, I was like, that's a beautiful bag. But the timing of, Bohemian kind of coming back along with a similar brand, which I won't name, doing a very big, expensive campaign with a bag that looked very similar at the same time. It's always like kismet, and you can't plan that. I didn't know they were gonna have a bag that looked the same. And so sometimes that happens, and then other times, it's price value ratio that the customer's like, wow, she sees me, and she made a gorgeous looking bag for me at an accessible price point.
Why do trends from decades ago come back? And I was thinking, I see everybody wearing like flared jeans again. I remember these when I was in high school in the late 90s. I'm having flashbacks as I walk down the street.
Yeah, some of these trends, make me cringe, Love Kendrick Lamar, but when I saw the bootleg with the cuff under the shoe, that gave me like agita. I was like, this cannot come back. Everyone's nostalgic. You know, in our day, you know, we wanted things from the 70s, you know, corduroy and flared pants that are now back. And so I think this next generation is embracing things we did in the 90s. And sadly, that
remember
means
the
we're
Jinko
old.
jeans?
Of course, I remember
the Jinko jeans was that.
Now I want a pair.
But there's just, you know, in this environment of cost, like, I don't think you can make those profitably. I mean, I don't know. That's just my take. But the weird thing was they always dragged on the ground. So you always went home dirty.
You always went home dirty. If you live in the city, you are burning those things when you get home.
It was awful. Hang with us, Rebecca. We're going to go off for a quick break. I want to get more into your book and also the state of retail. We'll be right back on Opening Bid. All right, welcome back on Opening Bid here at the NASDAQ in the big, beautiful Times Square, talking with Rebecca Minkoff. New book, Fearless, the New Rules for Unlocking Creativity, Courage, and Success. I want to talk a little bit about the state of retail because there's a lot of focus on, of course, as you can imagine, tariffs. Now, I've never designed a product. I have never worked in a supply chain. How hard is it to adapt to a tariff when you are in the apparel industry?
It's impossible. So we're not dealing with it this time around. We dealt with it the last time tariffs were instituted. I think that year we thought we were going to make $3 million and we lost $3 million. You know, it was impossible with the timeline set forth to change your supply chain. I went to testify, you know, and rally for it, didn't help. And so it's really hurting a lot of businesses. The silver lining is we got out of China at that time. We're still out of China. And so that saved us a lot of money in the long run, but it's pain we didn't need. You know, I wish there was a little bit more time to adjust to these tariffs because our life cycle is 9 months from concept to hitting the floor. So if you don't have that, and you know, then you're out of luck.
The retail executives that I talked to, they continue to tell me, well, we're moving out of China, we're going to Vietnam, or we're going to Indonesia. And on paper, great. But is it the same quality, or does China have some kind of secret sauce that they're still able to make better things than a Vietnam and other countries?
You know, we've been making in Vietnam and Indonesia for the last 3 years, and I don't see a difference in our quality at all. And I think that the smart factories were already establishing strongholds in those places. So some of the factories that made our goods in China are the same factories. They just happen to be in Indonesia and in Vietnam.
Can you make an amazing handbag profitably in the U.S.?
You can if you charge a lot more money. So I did this exercise a couple years ago when I had a lot of my 20-year-old fans demanding made in New York City, made in the USA. And I said, cool, this is the price. I'm happy to do it. I can go back to my factory on 38th Street.
Well played.
Let me know if you want to pay. And guess what? Crickets. You know, I am excited by the prospect. I know LVMH is investing in Texas, and I would love manufacturing to come back, but it has to come back on a scale that it's not just the make. You know, it's the hardware, it's all the filler that's inside of a bag. Everything needs to be made here because if you're buying it all from overseas anyways and assembling it here, you're still not saving very much money.
Is it a skill thing? We just don't have the tradespeople to make this?
I think it is a skill thing, but you can train them. I mean, what's incredible is the factory here that I started with that's still around still has some of the people that have worked here, you know, for the last 20 years. So I think it can be taught. It's just, do people want to do that anymore? Like engage in handcraft making?
I mean, it seems like fun, right?
I love visiting the factory here.
Is the reality though that we're just going to have to spend more on apparel this spring and summer? I mean, this is what's coming at us, right?
Well, we're gonna have to spend more on everything. I think eggs here are $14.
Eggs.
Everything is more expensive.
Can't we just have some eggs for under $14?
I'm going to get a chicken. It's happening.
Well, you know, and it's interesting because, you know, I walk into, I guess, some of your competitors. I'm not going to name any names, and I see the quality out of these products. I see they change zippers. I see they're using different fabric. Are we just going to get just less made good stuff as a result of this?
I think a lot of brands are going to do that, and it's going to hurt them in the end. It might be the quick fix for now, but the customer sees it. Like you said, you noticed it, and you are not, you know, an everyday handbag consumer, I'm going to assume.
But I still study this. So I used to be an analyst. I covered all the accessible luxury makers, handbag makers, but it was always, I remember the time where they reinvested in quality. Like, okay, we're going to double down on an amazing button or an amazing zipper.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it seems to be going the other way now again.
It is going the other way for a lot of brands. I know for us, it's key that we remain a quality that, you know, I still meet women who have had the bag for 15, 16, 20 years, and I still want her to have that experience 20 years later when I'm walking around with a cane.
What's next for Rebecca Minkoff, the brand, wherever that might be? I know you have the podcast, but even so with the company.
So with the company, as we are celebrating 20 years, I have a couple more collaborations up my sleeve that'll come out in Q4 of this year. And we're just going to continue to, message our expansion, our regrowth. We're still coming back from COVID, where 70% of our business evaporated. And so what does business look like in this new world? And, getting really good at TikTok.
What'd you learn during the pandemic? I mean, 70% of your business gone. I mean, you must have been like, holy shit, like what? Like where'd it go?
Yeah, well, I knew exactly where it went, unfortunately, but we couldn't do anything about that, with every department store closing their doors, and they had to cancel their purchase orders. So I think the one thing it taught us is we need to mind and grow our own garden. And if we are not doing that top of mind every day, then we will be left in the dust. And so it taught us to care about our relationship with our consumer in a new way, how we talk to her, when we talk to her, the look and feel of the website, what we stand for as a brand. And from there, then you go out and sell to everybody else. But I think before that, every conversation every morning was, what was the sell-through at Nordstrom, Saks, Neiman's? And instead of saying, what did we do yesterday in sales? And so that flip, I think, was a game changer for us.
Has it surprised you by how many, department stores have closed?
It's surprising, it's scary. I get nostalgic, and that's where I loved to shop, but I think everyone has to innovate, and I think everyone's trying to figure it out, and what's gonna draw the customer back into their store. It has to be about experience, creativity, you gotta romance the customer, and really edit. Everything today is available anywhere you look. I'm seeking a good edit. I don't want to have to sort through 20 pages of a website. So if I walk into a store, what is your point of view and what story are you telling me?
You think we're coming to the day where there's just not going to be department stores?
I certainly hope that's not the case.
It's still fun. It's still fun to walk in a department store. I mean, they're trying. They're really trying. They're putting restaurants in there, coffee shops. I appreciate the efforts, but to your point, it does need to be edited. It still feels too expansive. It's over 2 or 3 floors. Just boil it down somehow.
Yeah, our most successful footprint when we had stores was we did a pop-up at the Grove. It was 1,000 square feet. And boy, did we have to edit. I think we had 5 SKUs. And it was our best performing store by far.
Who do you go to? In the last few minutes of the podcast, we always love to get hot takes from our guests. So who do you go to for advice? Who's your business outreach line?
Oh my gosh. Well, thank God for Female Founder Collective. So my co-founder, Allison Wyatt. But then I have a great group of founders, Michelle Cordero-Grant, who's, Gorgie, or Allison Ellsworth from Poppy. I'm always also seeking women outside of my industry to get a different perspective and lens. I could talk to designers till I'm blue in the face and we're all saying the same thing. And so for me, it's critical that I have different people in way different industries that I'm talking to.
What has made those founders click? Why have they found success?
I think that they're brilliant marketers, they're creative, they're scrappy, and I think that they're continuing to surprise and delight their consumer, and in this day and age, you have to do that.
Where, in terms of finding success, because it's around the cover of your book, how have you gone upon doing that, and how do you define success?
I think success changes every couple of years, what you define it as. When I started out, it was, can I afford to eat out?
That's always a good, can I pay my bills?
Or can I afford to share the bill when someone says, let's just split the check and you're cringing inside because you had a salad? Success to me these days is more time with my children. It's being unbothered by email on nights and weekends.
Is that hard? You can't do that. You have to check
I do
email.
it.
No, you don't check email. Nothing.
You know what I do is I go and I delete the junk so that on Monday it's just a clean slate of everything I have to answer. That is all I do now, and to me that's success. And then, meeting my customer. This last year has been about storytelling and about reminding her about the journey of the brand. And so when I get to meet someone like last night who said, my first bag was this purchase I made as a celebration of my raise, those are the things that make me go, yes, this is success.
Where do you shop, and what are your statement items?
I'm not gonna lie, but lately I've been only shopping at Rebecca Minkoff.
Okay. Well, no, that's good. You have to go to other competitors' stuff, right? Come on.
So I actually haven't bought another competitor's stuff in a long time, but I do love Isabel Marant, and I think she makes a beautiful product. It is more expensive, but when I'm splurging, that's who I go to.
All right, totally last one, I promise. What are the style mistakes you still see men making?
Men making? Oh gosh. So many.
I just want to make sure I'm not doing these things.
I know that skinny jeans are back for women, but they're certainly not back for men. Embrace the loose pants.
I can't do the loose pants.
Get a nicely tailored suit, or do the Harry Styles thing and just really go the opposite direction. Do the boxy suit, but it has to be the right boxy,
I've seen everything is baggy. You think we're just not going back to like tighter fits?
No, I think it's happening.
Yeah.
I saw many men last night dressed up in tight suits, and I was like, too soon, not yet.
Okay. Well, congrats on this book, Rebecca Minkoff,
Thank you.
Fearless, The New Rules for Unlocking Creativity, Courage, and Success. Really good to see you, and congrats on all your success.
Thank you for
Appreciate
having
it.
me.
All right, and that's it for the latest episode of Opening Bid. Continue to hit us with all those likes on the podcast platforms, thumbs up on YouTube. Appreciate all your feedback. I try to answer all of your questions. We'll talk to you soon.